The emergency room's fluorescent lights made my phone screen glow as I texted my parents, my hands shaking. Alex had fallen during soccer practice, and the doctor suspected a broken wrist. "Alex is in the emergency room," I typed. "Could one of you come?" 10 minutes passed before Mom's reply appeared. "We're busy with Sophia's promotion dinner." "Can't you handle it yourself?" "He's probably just being dramatic again."
Dramatic.
Again. My 10-year-old son, with his arm bent at an unnatural angle. Something inside me, something that had been bending for years, finally snapped. I stared at the message until the screen went dark. Then I opened my banking app and canceled all the automatic payments. Their mortgage, car loan, credit cards, utilities, everything. All set up on my account years ago when they claimed they needed just a little help with the bills, which had somehow become permanent arrangements. My name is Emily. I'm 35 and a financial analyst. This is the story of how I stopped paying for the love that should have been free. 3 days before canceling those payments, I stood in the hallway of my childhood home, looking at the familiar wall of family photos. My sister's graduation, her wedding, her first baby. In every photo, my parents beamed with pride. My own achievements weren't captured in any of them. After 35 years, I should have been used to it, but I felt the familiar tightness in my stomach. "Emily, is that you? Come help me with the dishes," my mom called from the kitchen. I hesitated. I hadn't come here to help with dishes. I'd come to set boundaries after years of financial manipulation. But old habits die hard, and I found myself walking into the kitchen anyway. Mom was arranging an elaborate spread of appetizers for Sophia's promotion celebration. "Can you finish this while I get ready?" she asked, already wiping her hands on a towel. "Your dad got the wrong crackers. Sophia likes sesame, not plain." I nodded and took over. Same thing, different day. My phone buzzed with a text from Linda, my ex-mother-in-law. "Did you tell them yet?" I hadn't. How do you tell your parents you're cutting them off after years of supporting them? How do you explain that their only grandson didn't even include them in a school family tree assignment? The front door slammed, and Dad's heavy steps approached. "Emily," he said, barely looking at me, "where's your mom?" "Sophia will be here soon." "She's getting ready," I replied. He nodded and disappeared into the living room without saying anything more. I quietly arranged the crackers, thinking about all the times I'd stood in this kitchen hoping for approval. My scholarship to UCLA, my promotion, the birth of my son. None of it had ever been enough. They always focused on Sophia, their miracle child. I was just the practice run. 6 months ago, things had changed. They started calling weekly to ask about Alex, inviting us to dinner, offering to babysit. I wanted to believe they finally cared, but when Sophia's promotion happened, I realized the truth. They just needed money. Mom returned to the kitchen, wearing the blouse I'd bought her last Christmas. "Did you finish the appetizers?" "Sophia will be here soon." I nodded and slid the tray toward her. "We need to talk." Her face shifted from happy to nervous.
"About what?"
"Can it wait until after the celebration?" "No," I said firmly. "I'm stopping all financial support." Her face went pale. "What financial support?" she asked, feigning ignorance, even though I'd been paying their car loan, house repairs, vacations, everything for years. I pressed my hands against the counter, trying to stay calm. "The car loan, the credit cards, the house insurance. Everything." She stared at me, shocked. "Why would you do that? After all we've done for you?" I couldn't help it. I laughed bitterly. "Oh, what exactly have you done for me? We raised you. We made sure you had food to eat." "That's the bare minimum," I snapped. "When David left, who actually helped me? When Alex needed to go to the doctor, who stepped up? When I got promoted, who even noticed? Not you. Never you." Dad came into the room, looking confused. "What's going on?" Mom turned to him, her voice rising. "Emily says she's cutting us off after everything we've done for her." Dad's face darkened. "Is this about that text?" "We already explained. It's about everything," I said, my voice shaking with frustration. "It's about Alex calling Linda grandma because she actually treats him like a grandson. It's about you skipping his birthday to go on Sophia's trip. It's about me needing emergency surgery and you refusing to pick up your own grandson because Sophia had a dinner party to attend. The memory of that night came flooding back. I'd been rushed to the emergency room for appendicitis, doubled over in pain. All I could think about was Alex, alone at after-school care. Can't David pick him up? Mom had said when I called, clearly annoyed. I could barely explain that David wasn't even in town.
We can't leave now.
Sophia would be upset, Mom had said. Then the words that sliced through me, and he's just so much work sometimes. He's a burden. My own child, a burden. But Linda had dropped everything. She'd picked up Alex and stayed with me at the hospital. That was when I realized the difference between obligation and love, between family and true family. Dad spoke again. You're overreacting. We couldn't leave Sophia's dinner. You know how important it was to her. More important than their grandson? More important than me going into surgery? I'm done, I said, my voice firm. No more money. No more pretending. You don't get to use me when it's convenient and ignore me when it's not. Mom's face crumpled, not with guilt, but with calculation. The car payment's due soon, and your father's medication. They could ask Sophia. Her new salary could cover it. Or they could finally use their retirement savings, which they'd been hoarding while I paid for everything else. It's not my problem anymore. At that moment, Sophia's voice called from the front door. Mom? Dad? I brought champagne. It was time for me to leave. I grabbed my purse from the counter. Emily, wait. My mom's voice was desperate. You can't do this to us. But I could, and I walked past Sophia in the hallway. She looked confused. Emily, I didn't know you were coming to my celebration.
I wasn't, I said.
I came to take back the last bit of care I had for people who never really saw me. I forced a smile. Congrats on your promotion. Sophia's success wasn't the issue. It was how our parents had always treated us differently. Sophia looked unsure for a moment. Thanks. Are you leaving already? I nodded quickly, not trusting myself to speak. Let them figure things out. Let them face the consequences of their actions. The drive home felt surreal. Tears filled my eyes, but they weren't from sadness. They were from relief. The heavy burden of trying to earn love from people who should have given it unconditionally had finally lifted. Alex was at Linda's house. My ex-mother-in-law had sent me pictures. Alex covered in flour, smiling, completely happy. Real love, no strings attached. Family isn't about blood. It's about the people who stay and make you feel accepted. 3 days later, I sat in the emergency room, watching the doctors put a cast on Alex's arm. My phone buzzed with another text from Mom. Emily, please reconsider. We need you. I turned off my phone and focused on my son. How are you feeling, buddy? It hurts, he said, his eyes wet with tears. But I was brave, right? The bravest, I assured him, squeezing his good hand. The doctor approached with discharge papers. He's all set. Just follow these care instructions, and we'll see him in 6 weeks to remove the cast. As we walked to the car, Alex looked up at me. Can we still go to Grandma Linda's on Sunday? She's making spaghetti. Of course we can, I promised. Nothing's going to change that. And I meant it. Nothing would change the family we had built, the one based on love, not obligation. 3 months passed with no calls, no messages, just silence. Then, one Tuesday afternoon, my phone lit up with a call from my mom. Though I had blocked her number after the emergency room incident, she was calling from my father's phone, which I hadn't blocked yet. I almost ignored it, but curiosity won out, and I answered. Emily, she said, sounding stiff. We need to talk about this situation. The situation? I repeated. Financial struggles, she said. Without my help. Nothing to discuss. There was silence. Then her voice turned bitter. Sophia won't help us. She says we need to learn to manage our money. The car got taken away yesterday and the mortgage is 2 months behind. Not my problem anymore. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, though a part of me still felt sorry for them, as if it was my responsibility to make sure they were okay. You can't just leave us like this. We're your parents. Blood doesn't equal emotional support, I said. You never truly played the role of parents. I have to go. Alex has soccer practice. Emily, don't. I hung up and blocked her number, and then, realizing she'd called from Dad's phone, I blocked that number too. I wasn't going to leave any channel open for manipulation. Across the kitchen, Alex was working on his school project, a family tree. "How's it going, kiddo?" I asked, leaning in. At the top, he had drawn Linda and Robert, labeling them Grandma and Grandpa. Below them were Mom and Dad under my name and Tom's. At the bottom, himself. "No, Sophia, no, my parents. Is this everyone in our family?" I asked gently. He nodded, completely sure. "These are the ones who love us." Simple, honest, true. 1 week later, my phone rang. It was Sophia. Rare, because we didn't talk much, maybe twice a year. Our conversations were polite, but distant. Her number wasn't blocked since I had no reason to cut her off completely. "What did you say to Mom and Dad?" she asked, her voice sharp. "They're falling apart over money." I kept it simple. No more financial help. They have their favorite now. She can help. There was a long silence. "They think you're being cruel, that you're getting revenge for the past." But was it cruel to stop draining myself for them? Was it revenge to hold them accountable for years of neglect?
"I'm not punishing anyone," I said.
"I'm just done pretending." Sophia sighed, a sound full of weariness. "They're never going to change, you know. They've always been like this." It was the first time she'd admitted the truth, a rare moment of understanding. She had always been the favorite, and I had always been left behind. "I know they won't change," I said. "But I have." There was a pause.
"Good for you."
Those simple words were perhaps the most genuine thing she had said to me in years. After we hung up, I thought about Sophia. Did being the favorite child come with its own struggles? Maybe she had her reasons for pushing me away, just like I had mine. We had both been forced into roles we didn't choose. Later that night, after Alex fell asleep, I sat on the back porch with a glass of wine. A cool breeze touched my skin as I thought about inheritance, not money, but emotional inheritance, the beliefs passed down about love, worth, and family. My parents had their own scars, believing love had to be earned and that children owed something to their parents. But cycles don't have to keep repeating. We can change them. Alex would inherit something different from me. The truth that love isn't a trade, that family is about choice, and that the most important thing is just being there. My phone buzzed with a message from Linda. "Robert's making his famous chili this Sunday. You and Alex coming?" I smiled as I typed back. Wouldn't miss it. This was my legacy now. Not guilt, not duty, but choice, connection, love freely given and fully received. For the first time in my life, I felt abundant in the things that truly matter. Looking back, I could finally see the pattern clearly. My constant struggle for approval, my desperate desire to be noticed. My worth had always been tied to their approval or the lack of it. Every milestone, every achievement had been a silent plea. "See me.
Care about me."
The walls of my childhood room had been covered in certificates, trophies, awards, all collecting dust while my parents cheered for Sophia at her games and performances. When I got a full scholarship to UCLA, Dad barely reacted. "California's too far. Who's going to help your mother?" Not Sophia. Never Sophia. She was too busy being the center of their world. I went anyway. I worked through school, built a career, and reached a point where I didn't need help from anyone. Then I met Tom, charming, confident Tom, who made me feel like the most important person in the room. His family accepted me right away. They made me feel heard and valued. Linda called just to check in. Robert showed me how to change the oil in my car. It was so different, this easy acceptance. When we got married, my parents complained about everything. The venue, the date, the menu. Sophia, my maid of honor, looked bored during the ceremony. My parents left early because Sophia had an appointment the next morning. Tom's parents stayed until the end, helped clean up, and treated me like I was already part of their family. When Alex was born, things should have been different. He was their first grandchild, but they visited once briefly. Mom held him awkwardly before handing him back. "He looks like Tom," she said, like that explained everything. Linda and Robert, though, were different. They brought us food, helped with Alex when I needed a break, and treated me like I mattered. Then Tom left. A text message, no face-to-face conversation. Linda found me crying on the bathroom floor. She packed a bag for Alex, took us both in, and stayed with me while I tried to figure out my broken marriage. My parents? One phone call. Mom's tone had been almost satisfied. Men don't appreciate women who focus on their careers. I warned you. As if my ambition had been the problem. Like I deserved to be left behind. The way Tom fought for money, but didn't care about custody was harsh. He wanted freedom without responsibility. Linda and Robert were stuck in the middle, torn between loving their son and being disappointed by his choices. You're still family, Robert had said, firm and certain. That doesn't change. Alex is our grandson, and you're his mom. It's simple. Simple for them, but not for my parents. Eventually, as legal bills piled up and being a single mom with a full-time job became too much, I turned to my parents for help. Just temporarily, just until things got better. My dad grudgingly wrote me a check. It's small. Don't expect this often. We're not a bank. But when their car broke down the next month, they asked me for help right away. Can you cover this? Just this once, until we're back on track. That one time turned into many. They kept asking for more, and I kept giving. I used my financial knowledge to set up auto payments from my account, telling myself it was temporary but watching as it slowly became their expected support system. I held on to a foolish hope that if I just gave enough, maybe they'd finally care about me like they cared about Sophia. It was pathetic, transparent, desperate, but I couldn't stop, not until I finally realized the truth. It had never been love. It had been an exchange, and my financial help had just been buying their temporary attention, not their affection, not their real care. That realization hurt, but in that pain, I found freedom. I didn't need to prove I deserved love anymore. I already had it from Alex, from Linda and Robert, from friends who cared, from people who respected me. I had found a family of my own, not the one I was born into. 6 months after cutting off financial ties, 3 months since that call with my mother on my father's phone, I was finally understanding what true freedom was, not just being free from obligation, but from the need for approval from people who couldn't give it. My worth was never about their recognition. I had always been enough. They just failed to see it. Alex ran into the kitchen, snapping me out of my thoughts. Mom, Grandma Linda says she's making spaghetti tonight. Can we go? Grandma Linda, a title earned through love, not blood. Through care, through countless small acts of kindness.
Of course, buddy.
Grab your shoes. As he raced to the door, I felt a deep appreciation for this strong, bright child, for the family we had built based on choice, not obligation, for the wisdom that hardship had taught me. Sometimes, the best lessons come not from what we inherit, but from what we learn through pain, from breaking cycles, from trying to do better. My parents had taught me exactly what kind of mother and person I would never become, and for that, I was strangely grateful. As I drove to Linda and Robert's house, with Alex chatting excitedly beside me, I felt something shift inside. The journey from needing approval to finding peace, from seeking validation in others to finding it in myself, it was complete. The weight of family expectations, emotional debts, old patterns, they had been too much to carry. But now I had let them go, and what remained was something lighter, purer, all mine. Family, love, belonging. Not transactions, not obligations, not desperate attempts to prove my worth, but choice, intentional, grounded in the quiet certainty that, finally, I was exactly where I was meant to be.